Here I am. Is Gemma here?
I'm here.
Okay, she's almost here. You all can
No, I'm
hear her,
almost
but
here.
I can't because of how dumb
Okay,
everything is. But I bet I can hear her now.
good. Because you said you had
Nope.
a lot of hot takes. No? Dave, as we came on, he was like, I got hot takes. And I'm like, I want hot takes. And I'm sorry if you
Yes.
can hear the screaming toddler in the
The
background.
worst. I bet I know what the problem
The toddler does have someone looking after him. I haven't just like locked him somewhere.
is. Maybe this. I don't know. The monitor thing gets really annoying. And my
What's the monitor?
there we go. Um so wow. Why is my mic so ridiculously
Oh, look, I'd
loud?
have burnt my nose.
Oh, you did.
I did. I burned my nose. Oh my God. 40 years old and I'm still too stupid to not get sunburned.
No, not stupid.
So like
It's
I
it's
kid you not, it's been like raining for like 5 months straight. Like not even like a little bit of rain, like every single day rain. And this is like the second day where it's not been raining and it's glorious sun. So I went outside obviously, and here I am with sunburn.
okay. Time to post this everywhere.
Dave told me he has hot takes. And I re-apologize now for those who didn't hear that there is a screaming toddler in the background.
Oh,
Frozen's
there
probably
is.
been turned off. Um,
So I'm so confused because this mic, even at like the lowest gain, it's like blasting everything. I don't know what's going on. Something's weird, but it's fine. I'll live. I'm busy trying to post our stream
it's
everywhere.
all right. I'm trying to hear what my toddler wants. I can't quite work out what it is, or whether it's just like general rage at the world.
It could just be
It's
that.
like, don't vote Tory. Why? Why do these people keep voting Tory? I don't know. I don't know
It could be
how.
that. It could be that. It could be that.
He's like, you had so many options, and this was the best you had.
Yeah, it's really at like absolute. Okay, it's not an absolute minimum gain, but like I don't understand why this mic is so aggressively overamped. Like, geez. Well, hopefully it's
I,
just picking up my voice and we're all happy with it. So,
I mean, it sounds okay from here, but
yeah. I mean, well, no, you're getting a different mic. You're getting the
oh
the
right, okay.
the other mic because that way Skype doesn't try um to manage my mic. Anyway, hello everybody. It's been an exciting week, I think.
Well, you
It's
said you had
been
hot takes.
I'm figuring this out.
Get to the hot
My hot
takes.
take number 1 is Dave is stupid. So, I got a new laptop.
Okay.
It's not a hot take. That's just a happy occasion. I got a new laptop. And because I got a new laptop, um, I was able to finally take my old laptop and kind of take it out of service. And I was like, because one of the things that bothered me a lot about my old laptop was that it was really hard to click the touchpad for some reason. It was just annoying. It was frustrating. I couldn't click. It took a lot of force. It was really weird. And I was
Mm,
like, my old laptop I've been using for things had been heating up a lot. It was really getting crazy hot. I'm like, I probably just open this thing up and just blow it out for dust.
mm,
Like, let's see if we can get rid of all the dust here. And as soon as hello, Imaska, and then as soon as I open, I go at the bottom plate of this laptop, and the bottom plate
mm,
of the laptop's held on by a bunch of screws. I start
mm.
unscrewing one of the screws. As soon as I start doing this, the plate like ejects off of the laptop. Like it is being aggressively forced off this laptop. And finally, the incredibly bulging battery in my laptop is now free to be itself. And
I'm
I'm
impressed
just
that it
like,
actually
huh.
was like, restrained by the casing.
I mean, at the end of the day, like laptop bat. So I spent a lot of time reading about this. Like laptop batteries do a pretty good job of containing themselves. Like the
Mm,
danger with a bulging battery is that if it does get so bad that it bursts, the gas inside is toxic and very flammable, and that can be real bad.
mm.
But it doesn't like spontaneously combust. Like it's not like that dangerous.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I have a laptop now with a wildly bulging battery, and then I started the adventure of like, how do I go about fixing this? And I
Mm.
went to like the support website and I'm like, okay, well, what do you do with a bulging battery? And they're like, well, don't replace it yourself. I'm like, okay. And they're like, well,
Mhm.
you should send it to a service center. I'm like, okay, but how? Like, is there one near me? And they're like, well, there's one in Singapore. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to try to mail a dangerous battery to Singapore.
Yeah,
Like, I'm
right?
not doing that. And then I called them and they were
Yeah.
much more amenable on the phone. They were like, first you got to sign this waiver, where it's like, you can, if you remove the battery yourself, you acknowledge that we like cannot be liable for that.
Mm,
If you screw it up and hurt yourself, it is not our fault. And I'm like,
mm.
fine. I accept this. I get it. Like, you don't want me saying like, well, they told me. So I removed the battery. It wasn't hard. It was easy. I just unscrewed it and took it out. And now it looks like they're just going to mail me a new one. And then they're like, you do have to dispose of this old battery properly. So I got to figure out where
Oh,
to put
yeah.
it. Just put it out in the street or something. You just,
So, I had a friend and their Surface Book battery expanded, and pushed the screen off itself even, and
mm,
they called Microsoft, and Microsoft sent round a courier with this big yellow bucket in which to
a
put the
danger bucket.
yeah, to,
That's
like, contain this
awesome.
laptop in,
A
because they
danger
called them
bucket.
up and
Oh,
they're
I
like,
forgot the
"We'll send
F-14
someone."
modules.
And I was like, "Jeez, they are serious. Like, is it gonna are we safe for the time it's gonna take for the courier to get here?"
I think again, people make like a much bigger deal out of it than they necessarily have to, because it's like it is dangerous. It could become dangerous. It could harm you if something bad happens to it.
Right,
But
but
it seems
surely
like
if
what
you
has to
just
happen to it is like a puncture.
surely if you just don't plug it in, once you've identified it's got a problem, if you just don't plug it in, it's not gonna just boom.
This laptop has had this problem for years.
Yeah.
Like, I've been flying around the world pressurizing and depressurizing this. Like, I've been going all over the place with this.
Well,
This
I mean, I had another Surface Book that did the battery thing, and yeah, I was on a plane back and forth. We must have had that problem for at least 4 long haul flights.
Yeah. And again, I don't think it's like immediately death. I think it's just like something that takes some time. But now it's gone. And I'm gonna get a new battery and I'm gonna be able to click the laptop again. Now it's great because I could actually like get rid of it because this new laptop's really friggin' sick. Um,
Hey,
hey,
Pez.
Pezinator, how's it going? We're just giving people some time to come on in. That's my exciting laptop story.
That's a good
Um,
laptop story. I'm glad you've got a nice new laptop. You deserve a nice new
it's like
laptop, Dave.
really nice. I'm like weirded out by how nice it is. Although I kind of wanted to get, I wasn't sure which one to get. There were two models I was thinking about, but I ended up getting this one. Um, well, I'm happy because now my first of all, even without the battery, I can just use my old laptop plugged in, which is kind of cool.
Oh,
Like
really?
yeah, it's actually it's a smart laptop, and I can just
Oh,
plug
that
it
is
in
impressive.
to the wall, and it'll run off the wall power, and that's great.
I
The
still
battery.
don't get why I mean, I do get it. I do get why they put the batteries so they're, like, integral to the whole thing of the laptop, but they really
Oh
should
yeah,
make
when they
it
do
so
that,
that
that's
you can
bad.
plug them in and out.
Yeah, no, this one was great. I
Mm.
opened up the bottom, it was right there. It was screwed in.
Yeah,
I
'cause
took out
do
the
you remember the
screws, and
old
it just
Dell
popped out.
ones? The old Dell ones, you
Oh, the
just
old that
clip
ones
the
are almost like
battery.
cartridged in, like they were
Yeah,
designed to be
right?
replaced.
And as you
Yeah,
said, like, it worked off the mains without a battery in if you wanted.
yeah. Oh yeah,
I
no, I
miss
mean
those.
this is my old Razor blade. I've had it since 2018, so it's given me 6 years of
Ah,
service.
it's
It's
done
put in its
well.
time. Yeah, it's put in its
Yeah,
time, and with the battery replacement, it'll still be good as new.
yeah.
In fact, these Razor blades are very nice because it has I can upgrade the memory in it. I can replace the memory with more memory if I want to.
Mm,
Yes, yeah, I do feel like I feel like, you know what, 6 years is a good amount of time. This laptop has put in work. It's done well. It's still in great condition. I think in Musk it depends on on the laptop. I think some
yeah.
laptops require the power to flow through the battery and out,
Yeah, yeah,
and but that might not be the way it is. I think that stopped happening when they realized that it was better that a lot of people left their laptop plugged in constantly. And so what
yeah.
laptops will do now is they'll let the battery drain a bit. Like if you plug it into the wall forever, they'll
Mm,
isolate the power flow through the battery so they can like let it drain and then recharge and then drain and then recharge, which is healthier
mm,
for the battery than keeping it topped off all the time.
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I had a Surface Book, and that you had to have a working
Oh,
battery as well.
a friend of mine had a Surface Book Pro, and this was
Mm,
great. The battery bulged in it to the point that the case was splitting open.
mm,
And so we went down to the Microsoft store. And we
yeah.
said, "Hey, Microsoft store, what can you do?" And they're like, "Well, we don't have any of these to replace yours with." And we're
Mm.
like, "Oh, well, that's a shame." Like, "Well, I guess we could order some." And we're like, "Cool." So I guess tell us when you get it. And they're like, "Yeah, but we can't let you leave with this." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" They're like, "Yeah, well, the bulging battery is dangerous. We can't leave this with you." I'm like, "So I walked in my store to find out if you could fix my laptop, and the result is you just take my laptop? Like, is that's not an okay that's not an okay chain of events.
Mm-mm.
Um, and we were able to I was able to just be like, "No, I am leaving with this." Like, I'll sign something. I will gladly sign something saying, "You told me this was dangerous."
Sure,
Like, I
this
get
is
it, but, like
this is a very like it's very similar to I had the same story with the Microsoft. Yeah, I went in and I had my and I said like the battery was bulging, and they were like, "Oh, well, yeah." They wanted to take it for servicing, and they were gonna. They said it was gonna take 3 weeks for servicing, and I'm like, "Well, no, you're not
yeah, it's like,
taking my
I need
laptop."
that, yeah.
And they're like, "Well, you can't leave," and I'm like, "Well, okay, what are you gonna do? Call the police? Let's see."
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
if you want me to acknowledge that the bulging battery is a bad, dangerous condition and that I've chosen to continue it, like, I'll do that. I'll
no,
make it clear that this was
I
my call, but, like,
no,
don't tell
no,
me I can't
I'm
take
not.
this.
I don't have anything to sign. It's my property. My property. They couldn't stop me. So,
Well,
and yeah,
but you have
in
to
the end,
sign
they
out of
gave
a
me
hospital, right? Like, if you go to the hospital and the doctor's like, "Your leg's broken and you shouldn't walk on it," and I'm like, "I'm leaving and I'm walking on it," they'll just ask you to sign something that tells them, like, "The doctor sure did tell me that I was sick and needed care,
uh,
and I elected to
this is
not get care."
America, I guess. You just walk out the
Yeah.
door in this country. I
Yeah,
mean,
because
like, they
otherwise I can
probably
sue the doctor or the hospital. I can say, like, "Well, I went to the hospital and they let me leave, so obviously they weren't responsible."
well, I mean, I guess that's why Microsoft didn't want me to walk out with my bulging
Yeah, yeah.
battery. Yeah, and in the end, they gave me the like 2 models up or something so that I wouldn't
Oh,
walk out
okay,
with
yeah,
my
that's
dangerous laptop.
now that's American. Now that's a win. Now you just bargained them up.
Well, it's just like, "Go on then, call the police. Go on, I'm taking my laptop with me. Or you can ask the police if I'm taking my laptop with me. I don't
I
care. I'm taking my laptop with me."
look, I greatly appreciate that. I think that's great. I think that's great.
Yeah, but it's yeah, anyway, I managed to get an upgrade on when they canceled my flight once because I was like, "Well, you've gotta get me home. How are you gonna get me home?"
Yeah, how am I getting home? What is the
Like,
answer
"This
to
is
this
not my
problem?
problem. This is your problem." Yeah, so then I got to go first class that time.
Mm.
I don't know, it might just be my Karen voice, though.
Your
So,
Karen voice is
Dave,
very strong here.
it's good, yeah, and in America, it's very strong for sure. Dave, what mahjong hot takes do you have then?
Oh man, so there's been a lot of interesting conversations going on in the mahjong world lately.
Oh, really?
And
Have I been involved in any of them?
you have been involved in some of them, and I think some of them
Okay.
are really, really interesting. And I'm going to just to be super clear in talking about these things. Probably I will probably not talk about any specific incidents that brought things up, just because like it's traceable to humans, and I don't want to like be embarrassing anyone. And I'll probably talk a little bit generally about stuff. Um, but I think one of the conversations that's being had is active versus passive refing. I think this is something we can definitely talk
Uh,
about in a broad sense as to how we feel about it.
this is a
Um,
yeah, this has been a conversation, constant conversation in Europe as well.
yeah, yeah. So to define these terms that we're talking about, like passive refing implies that I as a ref just sit there until someone overtly says, like, "Judge, please come to the table." And at that point, I make a ruling, and at all other points, I will do nothing. It is up to the table to decide everything. While I believe active judging, I mean, in its most extreme, active judging would imply that I am sitting there watching the table like a hawk
Mm,
and immediately correcting any problems that I see happen on the table.
mm,
And those, I guess, are the extremes. And there's a lot of thought, I think, about what the best thing is to do, that comes from a lot of different places. So I
mm.
guess my question, if we're going to talk about it, my first question to Jem is going to be, where is Europe at on this? What does Europe think about this? Is
What's
there
my
is there a
take?
consensus, or are there just a lot of
Uh,
different ideas?
so I'm just trying to organize my thoughts. So, um, I'll just take the WRC event because it's easiest for me because it's the one I've got my hands the most dirty with. What we curiously do is we ramp up the active reffing as players progress through. So
Mm.
before the cut and the qualification section, it, there's a lot of people, um, and I think I'm not sure how many refs to the tables we have, something like about one ref to 5 tables or something.
That
Um,
sounds about right.
and we do expect tables generally to manage themselves. Don't really expect many calls unless they've done something particularly peculiar, or perhaps there's a communication issue, and you know they want a ruling for whatever reason. So yeah, it's very passive then. We do get a lot of complaints if the refs are too actively walking around as well. That can annoy people. So we try to you know,
I find that
keep their
interesting.
presence known, but not annoying. That depends on the space as well. I think if you've got a lot of space, it becomes a little. But definitely, I've been there when I felt like a ref looming over my shoulder, and it's a little bit off-putting. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah,
even if
I
I'm
think that
not
really
doing
does
anything.
depend on space. Like if you have a
Yeah,
lot of room for a ref to be like observing at a distance, it's great. But if you're in a cramped environment and a ref has to be like right up on you, like, ugh,
yeah.
awkward.
So, but then as you go to the cuts, obviously there's more refs to tables, and then for the final table, there's cameras on it. So
Right? Yeah,
it's
there's
very
really
active
no
reffing. We're not gonna,
no
if we see
hiding.
something go by, we're not gonna. Generally, we expect the table to fix it, and if the table can't fix it, then the ref will step in. But I think the line still is that the ref should give the table a hot minute to fix it before
Mm,
they
mm,
swoop in. And I think personally, I think that's probably the best compromise. Um, and in the end, the Japanese don't have very active reffing. And if we accept that they're the ones who are really sort of setting the international standards, I want players in Europe to be able to play at that level. And if they've
mm.
become enfeebled because every time something a little bit odd happens, they call a ref, they won't be able to play at their best.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I see in the U.S. a lot of input from a few different. I'm going to call them cultural avenues,
Mm,
and one of which is um, players. Again, we have a large influx of players coming from online platforms where you literally cannot make mistakes.
mm,
So we have a lot of people who are just not physically familiar with the
mm.
mistakes you can make and how they generally get resolved. They're not comfortable with that, and that I guess
Mm.
not that's not denigrating anyone. Let's just say
No,
it's not something
no.
they've been swimming in for a while.
Mm,
And we also have a lot of like card game culture, fighting game culture people. And
mm.
well, fighting games don't really need refs because they're electronic, but
Correct.
card games like the general MO is if anything is at all weird, you call a judge. And
Mm,
that is not again, just to be super clear, I'm not saying that's a negative. It's
mm,
just that's the general way things get resolved in that environment. There's a lack of clarity. People don't know what's going on with the rules. You call an adjudicator. That's not seen as that within that community specifically. That's usually not seen as like an aggressive move against your opponent. That's just seen as like, hey, we need an actual clear rules ruling here as to what happened, so that we can all feel
mm.
good about it. The judge comes and rules, and like I think part of that is very very healthy, the fact that calling the judge is seen as like a totally normal,
Oh,
okay thing to
yeah.
do, not an offensive move,
No, you
not
should
like a
always feel
conflict.
comfortable calling the ref.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
I
think that's
agree.
very healthy and something I think everyone should always feel comfortable. If they don't like what's going on, if they don't feel okay
Oh,
about it, if they feel like there's a question, heck, if you got to call a chombo
yeah.
on yourself, I've done it.
Oh,
You call
yeah.
you call the ref
God,
like something sure went wrong here, and it's I've done
I'm
it.
the
I've chomboed. I
chumbo.
make the mistake.
Yeah,
I'll be the one to freaking call the ref. Like it's fine. This
yeah,
is what we do now. What we do now is the
yeah,
mistake happened. We call the
yeah.
ref. We get it sorted. Like
And
that's all fine.
I'm also aware as well that not that I'm an intimidating person, but I think people can find me intimidating. So I've even been at a table when someone has obviously wanted to challenge me, and I've just said, "Should we just call the ref then?"
Yeah,
Because
I think
they might not want to verbalize their challenge against me, but the ref obviously is in a position of power to do that.
this is definitely something that we've found, and again, but in saying this, just to be super super clear, and to give credit where credit's due, I am aggregating a lot of things that a lot of people who've been
Mm,
running events and talking about are talking about, and I want to say
yeah.
like I'm not like I don't magically see everything, so all of this stuff has come from the goodwill and conversation and input of many people.
Mm,
But like I think in North America, we found there's been some challenge with people not feeling comfortable calling a judge or ref.
mm,
Again, they're maybe they're newer players. Maybe they feel a little intimidated, or they don't want to be the one to slow it down, or they're worried about wasting the
mm.
time because the game's timed, and with newer, slower
Yeah,
players, games go to time more often, and all of these things.
yeah.
Yeah, as Imaska's car game just called. Yeah, how do the rules work? And I think that's great. I mean, it would be better if everyone magically knew the rules, but I think it's great to just be like, we're not sure what the right thing is to do, and in many ways, it shows a great goodwill from your players. We want to do the right thing here, so let's
Can
make
I
sure
just
that we
can
get
I
the
just add a
absolute right answer.
caveat? I have
Yeah.
had people try to call me and say, "Can I win on this hand?" Don't ever call me for that.
Oh, see, that ends up being what is the let's dive right into that because that's one of the hottest ref calls you can get because in a way you're being asked a rules question. Is it legal for me to win on this hand? And what do we think about this? This is a very
No,
interesting point.
no, no. It's personal information.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, you're explicitly not allowed to do it. But I will say, it's happened in European tournaments, and as a ref, I've told them to never call me again for that. And if they want to ask, they have to ask after the hand has happened. Um,
I find this very interesting because this is one of the places that my litigious brain finds there to be a very interesting line to draw.
mm.
You can call a win on any tile, baby child. That's a very great way. I like that. That's a great
Can I get
answer.
them to sign a waiver as well?
Yeah, sign a waiver, please. Please sign this waiver saying that it is not my fault if you chombo. I'm letting you go back. Just look at their tiles and pick them up and be like, I have to take those. I can't.
If you want them back, you're gonna have to call the
Yeah,
police.
you're gonna have to do I can't let you leave here with these. I'm sorry. I gotta take these. You can see I mean, it's interesting because those are when you get your Arcadi in three business days. It's very interesting because yeah, it's because what is the line that we're drawing there? It's a very interesting line. Like emotionally, it makes sense to me that someone, there are many rules questions I can answer absolutely. But that is a rules question that I cannot answer absolutely. Um, but it's interesting as to how that works. Like,
Uh,
what if I had telepathy?
so the principle is though that you should be able to know if you have a valid hand or not. That's part of the game. Um,
Mm,
just the same as you actually need the tiles in your hand, the right tiles to win the hand. You need to know whether that's part of. If you don't know that, then that's beyond a rules question to me.
okay, here we're getting into hot takes, and these are hot takes. I'm going to be giving up some hot takes. I'm going to say yes, but we have an entire generation of players now for whom
Yeah,
knowing if you
yeah,
have a valid hand is actually not a requirement of play.
yeah, and
As in a requirement. They are able to
yeah.
play without this knowledge entirely if they wish.
So, and then I guess this is the problem that might be happening in North America right now. And I accept that you have got and this isn't, again, I don't want this to sound offensive, but it's a fairly immature player base.
We can just say youthful,
These
younger. They're newer
Well,
players. We have many newer players.
no, I mean, no, what I'm saying is that they haven't gone through X number of tournaments,
Yeah,
which you
yeah.
need to have gone through. Um, it's I was no different when I first went to tournaments. They're doing
Did you
exactly the
ask a
same
ref
things
if
I
you
did.
could win on a hand?
I was tempted to, I'm not gonna lie. Because yeah, as you said, like I mostly played online by that point, right? Um, yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's
challenging because I feel like in most cases as a ref, if you ask me a rules question, there's going to be an answer. Right? The answer is going to be like yes or no. Like if you ask me, am I well, but there's another interesting question. Like there's another question you probably shouldn't answer as a ref. If someone calls me over and says, "Am I footy 10?"
oh,
Am I footy 10?
oh. You
Now,
can't answer that.
well, it depends on the timing, right? If Roan has been declared, the hand is over,
Oh
and
yeah,
then
yeah,
someone's
yeah,
like, yeah, in that timing, if someone's like, "Am I footy 10? Is this footy
yeah.
10?" I
That's
can
fine.
say, I can
Yeah,
tell. But if it's before the end of the day, if they're sitting there like in reach or something, and they're like, "Am I footy 10?" I cannot answer that for you
yeah.
because answering that question to you is revealing an important yet hidden
Mm.
part of the game state to everyone else.
Yeah, and again, Mascot says, "What tiles am I rating on?"
What tiles am
Like
I
that's
waiting
the
on?
sort of thing
Speak
that
it into
the
the ref
the
like a
computer
clock.
tells you as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, hang on, guys. I've been asked that as well as a ref. Can I pawn?
How did they
I
not know?
um uh to be fair, it was that weird thing where they didn't have a draw left.
Okay.
But yeah, shouldn't be asking that really until the end of the game. Like it just sucks. You just have to let it go if you're not sure. Or try and hope the table's nice and lets you take it back.
Yeah, I feel like that also has an answer that I can give. Like,
Hmm.
as long as there's at least one draw left, you are allowed to make calls, and the number of draws left is public information. So, in
Yeah, but
theory, I think you can answer
as
it.
soon as
But
they
as soon as they
said,
"Can
"Can
I
I
pong?" you know where
pawn
2
this?"
tiles are. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
they've disclosed where tiles are. Um,
They basically revealed tiles. They could have just thrown the tiles on the table. That would have been an easier ref call if they'd
yeah,
have put
well,
the
they're
tiles down.
making the pong. Well, like they just showed them to
Yeah.
make the pong. Like they've effectively done it.
Mm.
And I think one of the big problems with that is that you get into a situation where people can start faking it.
Yeah.
Like a clever player, the penalty for calling tenpai at the end while no ten, is there a penalty for that, or do people just see it and say,
No,
"No, you're
no,
not
it's I think
tenpai"?
it's just a warning. Like someone yeah, the table could if they were really pissed off for something weird you've done, they could call over the ref and ask for a warning
Yeah, yeah.
because you've not really destroyed the game. I don't unless
Well,
someone's repeatedly doing it.
the whole reason you show your hand when you declare tenpai is so that the other players can verify it.
Yeah.
So, like, at that point, if the
Yeah.
other players are like, "No, you're not," I think it just becomes, "No, you're not," unless, like, you do that literally every hand. I feel like at the point at which someone's just spent literally every hand being like tenpai, and we've all had to be like, "No, you're not." Like, at that
Mm.
point, it's like, "All right, ref,
I
like,
guess
what's
the
going on?"
concern would be if someone declared Tempai, knowing that people aren't going to check because they don't, let's be honest. You could probably get away with a few
Mhm.
yeah, no 10 bappers, no 10 penalties back. But then I think this is a harsh lesson for the rest of the table. You should be checking if people are Tempai or not.
Yeah, well, that's why it's shown. It's shown so that you can validate. I generally do. Like,
But
I
as
I
you
I
said,
can't claim I do it every time, but I
no.
generally will look and just be like, "Alright, that looks reasonable to me. That looks
I,
reasonable to
I
me." Like
well, you can see if I'm checking because my head starts tilting. but but I think this is part of the problem that we see when we have majority online players, and not just you know especially post COVID as well. Like we were all online players post COVID, right?
Yeah.
And and the problem with the technology is it does enfeeble you. You stop checking to see if people are tempi because it just doesn't reach your brain anymore. You become shit at scoring. You become shit at reading your weights. All of these things because the computer just feeds you everything, and you don't have to try. Your brain gets lazy. Those little pathways, the muscle is lax, and this is the struggle, the real struggle. If you want to come and play at the highest levels, you have to be able to do this. And I can't, I have no better answer than just you've got to get good. I'm really sorry. I, I wish we could make it easy. And
Mhm.
this is partly why I prefer maybe this sort of passive reffing rather than active reffing, because if we want a really strong competitive environment, people have to be able to manage the table themselves a bit more.
My challenge with that, I think,
Hmm.
from where I sit, is that
Hmm.
what you have right now is a situation that is, again, I don't like using terms that sound this aggressive because
Mm,
I don't think there's a lot of negativity out there, but I will say
mm.
ripe for abuse. You
Yeah,
have a lot of new players. They are
yeah,
not wildly experienced.
yeah,
They are not wildly
no,
confident. These are their
no,
first tournaments. They're their
no,
first events.
no.
And more experienced players can very easily just push them around and just be like,
Yeah,
that's how this is.
and
Whatever. Just do it. Just
and
go.
and if that's the environment, and I'm more than happy then for the active ref lever to be pulled, right? To
Hmm.
to get a better outcome. I will say, and I said this, I think, in the NAMA working group for the rules. I personally prefer giving small point penalties. So I think it was the UK and myself as well who sort of started implementing this. If you send me in a scorecard that does not add up to zero, you will all get a penalty. I only ever saw one scorecard ever returned
I like
that
that.
didn't
I'm
add up,
fine
right?
with that.
Because then suddenly, once there's a penalty, people's brains are like, "Oh shit, I better do this," right? It sounds cruel, but you hardly ever have
It's
to put the
not
penalty in.
cruel because it shouldn't be a problem.
No, exactly. Do you know
Like
how
like
many
it's
of
not
these?
cruel because it is your
Yeah,
obligation at the end of that game to get the
yeah,
score right.
no. And every single hand chant, we would get scorecard after scorecard, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, people, just get your calculators out. We have calculators in our pockets now. Get it out and check it. This shouldn't be my problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so they were talking about empty calls, and I said, well, something we discussed for the WRC at one point was putting 1,000 point penalty for empty calls. Because and lots of the Americans were saying, well, lots of people, because then your players, they're making a lot of empty calls. And I said, I can guarantee you, you put a penalty in, you will stop getting so many empty calls. Their brains will turn on and they'll be like, oh, "Oh, I don't want a penalty," so they'll be much clearer when they're doing it. That's my gut. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's kind of what I
I
prefer
would do that.
rather
I
than
would do that, Carol.
having refs standing around making sure that people can pon and cheat, which is that's a lot of time and effort, you know.
No, I
Um,
kind of agree. I feel like at the end of the day, like if you're gonna again, like I don't it sounds so elitist, but it's like, no, if you're gonna come to a tournament, you should know when you can pong and chi.
I mean,
And you should know when you would pong and chi. And if you make a bad pong or chi, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna eat it. And you're gonna sit there
I
and you're gonna be like, wow, I sure messed up this hand. And
I don't
something
I don't think it's elitist. I'll say that now. I think all of us, if there's not a penalty ascribed to it, our brains just go, oh well, whatever, someone else's problem, which is what the scorecards were. Like, you know, players who've been playing for like 10 years plus would send in scorecards. They had fucking master's degrees, some of them, and in computer science, and they still apparently couldn't add up to zero.
it's tough out there. It's tough out there for a number.
But that's
But
like,
no, I agree. Like adding up the scorecard is something like unless something actually weird happens and a ref signs off on the fact like I
mm,
came to the table and there was 100 points missing and we don't know what
yeah,
happened, like it should add up.
yeah.
It should always add up.
Yeah, so I mean, at WRC, the ref has to sign off anyway, so we don't have that problem. But for EMA tournaments, we don't the refs don't sign off on the
Oh yeah.
scorecards normally. They just all get collected at the end. Um, but yeah, and Aqua, I'm gonna be honest as well. Like for the Nama situation, unless empty cores are absolutely destroying the environment, I'd probably just let them go.
I don't know.
And
I'm harsher about it. I'd want a penalty.
that's fine, but then
I'd want a
it's not.
penalty.
I've not played in American tournament for a long, long time, so I don't know what they're looking like. Generally, I think again, especially if you've got a lot of newer players and it might be their first tournament this year, maybe because it's the first big year where everyone is. I don't know what the English word is anymore, but everyone's coming to events. Maybe you want to be a little bit chill, and then next year you're like, right, guys, you should know this now. Penalties.
Again, maybe I'm mean. Doesn't have to be a huge penalty. It could be like a
No.
minus zero point 0.5 penalty. It can be something really, really tiny.
Yeah.
But there's got to be. I feel like for me at least, I'd want some teeth on it, just because
Mm.
it's like you just need to never do it.
Well, I mean,
You just need to never be doing it.
1,000 point penalty. Luckily, is I mean, it mirrors what happens in Japan in parlors.
Mm, mm.
One thing I will aggressively say though is that that was the other concern I had. I've forgotten what the concern I had. I needed to tell Norma, but anyway, so we rejected that in WRC in the end because there's always this Ron Pon problem in that
Oh, with pronunciation.
you want the hottest take ever. Ron is just the stupidest way to call a win. It's fucking stupid. Do you know what's better? Just saying mahjong. It's clear. Like, oh, we've got to have clear calls. Ron and Pon are the same bloody sound. They're the same sound.
I think in some of the
Especially
older
some
games I've seen, was it even Ron? It had like agari,
I got it, exactly. I got it.
agari, agari is win.
Or you can have hola, or there's other words, but oh, it's the worst.
Just point at the
And
tile and scream,
yeah,
"That's the
that's
one."
the one. That's it. Mahjong,
That
that's
is
it.
it.
Right, like
Give me that.
that's it better, right? Because the problem is, especially with some of the heavier accents, Ron and Pon sound the exact same. And then the other difficulty is if you put it for, so you can't put it for confusing calls, I don't think, because the risk then is that people will just grunt.
Ugh.
They won't say pon or chi because they're not that sure about which one they want to say, so they just grunt, which is really what. And you know, hot take again for the poor Japanese players. A lot of them are so quiet I can't hear what they're saying anyway. So
Yeah, we like to say we can always say mahjong.
yeah, we are only saying I
Always
think
say
it is in
mahjong.
the rule book specifically, probably because I've gone on a rant that we need to. And do you know what? Why do we need Ron and Sumo? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
It doesn't matter. So yeah,
Well,
okay, Deb. Yeah,
even
you
sumo
can see that
sumo is.
Gemma's had her dirty little hands all over the WRC rules. But I think that was the kind of conversation we had.
Booyah. Oh
Was
yes, yes, please.
Booyaksha. But
I want like a friggin'. That's what we need, by the way. Anyway, continue. But I
yeah,
realize what we
I
absolutely
think
need
that
here.
was the concern. I think if we were to put the 1,000 point penalty, it would only be if a call of any type couldn't have been made.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, because
It's the
I
empty
didn't
call,
want to get in.
like
Yeah,
making a mistake, saying the wrong word, but then you show
yeah,
the tiles and it's clear what you meant. Like
yeah,
in my opinion, those are all little goofs that are human, and I have no problem. The only problem that I'm trying to that I would
Mm.
want to clamp down on is people going, "Pong, actually no." Like, nah, man. You got
Okay,
to
but
make
then
the decision or not.
are you gonna clamp down on them? They're going like, "Oh, can you give me a second?" "Oh, no, I don't want that one," because
Honestly,
that's what you're
no.
gonna have.
I'm okay with that.
But
I'm
okay,
okay with
so
that.
pawn, but that's the same result. "Oh, do I want that one?" "Oh, no, actually, no." It's the same result. If someone
No,
opposite
because
that
you said the
person.
action word.
I see, I think that's too cruel. Like, I just feel like in a more
You need to say reach before you. I'm interested in this. I'm interested in thoughts on this. You need to say reach before you discard.
Gemma needs to bring up the rules again because I read these every single time because I think it's slightly different for EMA, and every single time I become confused about what I think is right because obviously I have a vision of this. Yeah. But so, uh, what's the question? Did we have a question on declaring reach?
You need to say reach before you discard. I mean, in my opinion, like
Oh no,
the
Aqua, are you
decla-
EMA or a WRC?
in my opinion, the declaration is part of the discard process, right? You should have clearly like at the end of your discard, you should have both said reach and placed the tile down sideways. But I don't know if there's a specific about it. What point during that process you need to say?
WRC wants you to say reach first, turn your tile sideways, and then pay a deposit. I would say, even though I should have signed off on this, typically, typically what happens in Japan is you open up your points drawer, you say reach, you start fuddling about for the 1,000 points, stick it in the middle, and then turn the tile around, right? I don't think that we're that strict in WRC. Where the problem comes, I guess, is that when people want to take the call back, I think if any of those three things happens, then it's considered reach. Um, yes, exactly. So sorry, API dev has already got to me. Exactly. Um, no takes you backsies. No, not for reach. For EMA, I'll have to look because European Mahjong Association rules reachy. Let's see what we got here. And what's so funny,
This
Dave?
whole reach thing. I'm sorry. This whole reach thing reminds me of Passover. Because it in part of the Passover Seder they talk about the Pesach, the matzah, and the maror, and it's very clear. He who has not explained the following three things on Pesach has not fulfilled his religious duty, and it's the same thing. It's like he who has not performed at least one of these three actions has not effectively reached. Um,
Oh my God, for some reason I can't. Is it sideways? I guess.
Sideways.
They haven't. Right, okay. Player of concealed waiting hand can declare Ricci by clearly saying Ricci, rotating the discards and paying 1,000 points. So basically, WRC's text is still got the bones of EMA's text in there. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think
Interesting.
that we're stricter though. I think so. I think that for EMA, you have to have done two of the three things for it to be considered not takesy backsies anymore, if
Two
I
of the
remember
three. Okay.
correctly. Um, yeah.
I don't know. I don't mind when they say it as long as the
Mm.
act of discard includes. Yeah, the tile is put
Mm.
down sideways and they eventually say it. Like
I
as long as they're not just like
I
it is
almost
a little
think that
frustrating. I don't know.
putting the reach stick out first is, I mean, that's obvious, right? And then especially if people are used to playing on the automatic tables, you never say it, right?
Well,
Because
the
you put
table
it
says it.
down, the table says it, right? But that
The
only
table
happens
says
when you put the 1,000 points in.
it. Oh, I gotta ask about that too. But yeah. I feel like again, usually
So yeah, lots of people, if they're playing on automatic tables, you just let the automatic table says reach. Otherwise, you're going to say reach, and then the table's going to go reachy.
the weird thing about
I mean,
putting the
that's an
stick in
American thing. I
first.
mean, that's probably right. I prefer you to say it. I don't want to rely on the table, especially
Yeah,
because
that's true.
then they have to
I
like
usually say
joggle
just
the
the
little
stick.
bloody 1,000 point stick to make sure it says it.
Yeah, and
Uh,
sometimes I mean some of our tables don't say it, like the slims don't say it, so like better to
uh,
be in the habit of saying it.
I
But
can. I can tell you right now, all of the voices are gonna be turned off for WRC's
Oh,
auto
heck yeah.
tables.
Oh, heck
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, hello.
Hi, Alabasti.
The thing is, I feel like, the problem putting the point stick in first is that someone might win on that tile, at which point the deposit isn't in. So, like, I feel like it makes a lot more sense to
Sorry.
discard and go. So if I discard reach and
Yeah,
you're like, "Oh, Dave, you fool, Ron,
yeah,
my deposit isn't in. You don't get that 1,000 points
yeah.
until the discard passes." It makes more sense then to put the deposit on the table after I physically made the discard. Because if I put 1,000 in first and then I go reach, and then you're like, "Oh, Roan, now there's 1,000 on the table that I take back." That whole operation just becomes a little more complicated.
I guess,
There's a
but I mean,
1,000 I take
and
back.
let's
I
be
mean, it's
honest
not
though, like,
impossible.
people are often, like, trying to break 1,000 points before they declare reach as well. I
That's
think,
true.
it's probably a little bit, ah I'd like I'm looking at it now, I'd like to maybe put a suggested order in for WRC, but I don't think the order is too strict. I think it'd probably
I
be
don't see it being like a major problem where people
the
are like,
deposit comes after discard and online animations. Yeah. Um, I am just trying to think. Normally, yeah, I'd probably take the 1,000 points out first. Say reach, put the pipe points down, and then discard. I feel though, because often if you don't do it that way, the 1,000 points gets forgotten.
"It can."
I don't know. Can I say of all the terrible things that happen in mahjong tables, this probably isn't the worst.
It's not the worst?
I know there's battles to fight, and that might not be it. I mean, it's fact it feels a little bit like that problem of do you when you call, do you show, take, and then discard, or show, discard, take?
It's always a hot one. What is
Um,
the answer to that?
I mean, personally, I was trained obviously on show, discard, take because it makes it quicker. But there's a very good argument that you should show, take, and then discard because otherwise people forget to take the tile.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Aqua says doesn't like it when the first letter is the tile is sideways. Yeah, I don't like that, but I think that's more an etiquette thing. It's a bit like slow rolling and poker, right? I'll just put in a few chips. Then I'll put a few more chips in. But just if you're going to do it, just do it.
Show,
Yeah,
take, discards here technically never show high, Eric. I think that's a valid way.
yeah.
I think a lot of people get into discard take because they're like, "Oh, it lets the game just go faster," which, okay, but
No, I
don't know.
WRC decided not to because there are two schools of thought of which are equally valid, and I don't think it causes too much problem to not have. Yeah, again, yeah. Just when I was trained to be a professional, it was show, discard, take. So that's what I've always done.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting takes about this, I think. Um, but I mean to backtrack a little bit,
Mm.
empty calls should be a penalty. Just deal with it.
Dave really hates empty calls,
Well,
so
again, this is one of those things that I feel like if you let people get away with it, they're not going to learn, and you don't have to punish them very hard. You just have to give them a little penalty, minus 0.5,
no, no, it should
something
be
like
minus
that,
1,000. If you're going to do it, a
minus
minus
one.
1,000 because that nicely mirrors what happens in Japan, and I think
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
always
Then
good.
and that penalty will be expressly for if you're straight up just like pong. Ah, no, I don't want to pong. I'm sorry. All right, like that's a problem. I think that's a problem.
Okay, but I think what you'll find then instead is people will just go, "Oh, wait a second. No, you're okay." So you know that they were thinking about pawning it.
Right, but that's better. In my mind, that's still a step forward.
Okay, as long as you're happy with that, Dave.
The reason, well, no, the reason I'm
I just
saying
don't
that
think it's
is the
worth
reason
it.
I'm saying that is the acknowledgement of, oh hey, I have to think about whether I want this tile in my hand before I say something. So now I'm going to do it. Is a step ahead of, ooh, tile, gimme. I'm gonna slam the button.
Okay.
And that behavior is the negative behavior I want to discourage.
Okay. Well, I mean,
And
yeah. But then I think that's the lever you need to pull. Then I think you need to pull the 1,000 point penalty lever, and I suspect you will. get fewer and fewer empty calls to the point where
Mhm.
it's no longer a problem. That would
Right.
be my prediction.
And then at some point, if people are spending too much time being like, "Oh, I'm sorry, give me a second," like, then you
Yeah,
can start getting
you
into
have to
things
pull
like delay
another
of
lever.
game and shamisen
Yeah.
and figure and you move them on from there. But I think straight up just like, I'm gonna make a call and then be like, "Ah, actually, oops, I don't mean it because I made this call without thinking at all about how my hand was being formed." Like, eh,
Can I have a hot take about what might be happening? Is that the focus is not on the flow of the game and the respect of the game and the respect of the opponents. The focus of individuals is on their individual performance. And that typically that might be the root cause of all of these problems. Is that a hot take for you, Dave?
I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to
So
unpack it.
typically, if I'm in Japan and I'm playing and I'm not sure, I'll just keep my mouth shut because otherwise it's going to wreck the flow of the game. And I much better to protect the flow of the game than make the best move. The flow of the game is the
Mm,
priority.
mm,
And
mm,
that's
mm.
typically how, you should think if you're playing in Japan. Yeah, to the point where that very first game I ever played in Japan, I just sat there in pure terror, just drawing and discarding, hoping that I didn't do it wrong. Um,
Well, a call to address your thoughts. It's not like a wildly common thing at all. I'm not saying like people are doing this all the time, left and right, but I definitely have seen
mm,
it happen. I've
mm,
definitely seen players who are. I mean, this is also because I spend a lot of time teaching people, and so coming out of teaching, you get a lot of players who. And
mm,
this is not a tournament. This is outside of tournaments. So coming out of teaching, you get a lot of players who just they'll call whatever. They'll call because they're
mm.
excited to call. They'll call because oh boy, I can take it. I can do it. And I think I mean I think Gemma, your hot take. This is gonna lead me into hot takesville,
I mean,
but I'm
but
gonna
this, I
go
mean,
there.
is this not an educational point then? Because you can keep fiddling around the edges, trying to like knock down these outcomes of a root cause, whereas you're better off looking at the root cause and working out how that can be tackled.
It can't be. I
Okay.
think, or at least this again, this is me getting to my own hot take.
Okay.
Here's the problem. Um, if I have learned to play mahjong by playing online, I have innately been engaging with mahjong as a solitary activity for the majority.
Mm,
Now, there can be exceptions to this. Maybe
mm,
you learn in an environment where you're playing online with a bunch of other people, at which point you are doing something a little bit more social, but you have the incredibly strong guardrails of an online client, which prevents you from making mistakes. And it is still a slightly different environment doing something via online versus doing something sitting down in a room, making a physical activity go.
mm,
And I think that attitude is going to result in something different. I think that people, by coming to a tournament and participating in a physical game with physical people, are already broadening their horizon just by doing that, by
mm,
being there, by participating. So they are addressing the root cause in a way
mm,
because they're learning what it's like to play this game physically with other
mm,
people and in
mm.
a tournament setting. And frankly, a non zero chunk of people do that and then say, I don't like this. I don't want to play competitively in tournaments. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Which, I
Uh,
mean, not that I want people to have a bad time, but if that's how you feel, maybe that's not the thing you want to do, and that's fine too. Um, but I think that you get this very solo attitude because that's how online play kind of is.
mm,
It's very solo. If you're going to sit there and grind out 10 hole ladder for a day, you're playing a solo game. You're not participating in a communal thing with other people
mm.
until you get like
Effectively,
really
why
into
are
the game.
Japanese streets so tidy and clean? And ours aren't.
Probably because of the penalties, the intense penalties.
Yeah, they get 1,000 point penalty as soon as they drop that wrapper. That's why they don't need any waste
Yeah, yeah.
cans because no one, no
Penalties,
one
penalties all over
can.
the place. It's crazy.
I just pick up because API Dev said that I think one of the questions about the 1,000 point penalty was whether I really don't like the use of the word judge. By the way, it's too makes me cringe every time. I'm sorry. I know this is a variety of English, but I have to keep saying ref. Do you use judge in American football or ref?
No, referee.
Okay. Um, so yeah, and then this is possibly the argument against 1,000 point penalty. But I'm not sure. Are refs being called over for dead hands as well in America or just
I'm not sure
chombos?
actually.
'Cause I mean, I think there's a strong argument to not call them over for chombos as well. I don't know. I said I know when it started, and I'm pretty sure it's partly my fault, but I don't think that for a lot of the chombos, like I've done a chombo, and I said I've done a chombo, and then the table has to call over a ref, but everyone agrees it's a chombo. I did the chombo. I know it's a chombo. I write down chombo. I don't really need a ref to write that on a piece of paper that I did a chombo. I can write it on a piece of paper myself. Um, and then yeah, I wouldn't in the environments I play in expect a ref to be called for a dead hand unless there was a question over it. If the whole table agrees it's a dead hand, it's a dead hand. And the same with 1,000 points. If you're in Japan and they're playing with the 1,000 point penalty for empty calls, you don't call a judge over. You just pay the 1,000. But yeah, if you've got a proposed strike system, and this is partly why I think in the end people sort of rejected in Europe at least the yellow card, red card system because it became very ref heavy, slowed down
Mm.
games. It became just cumbersome, and then of course the more, you know, I was also started to become concerned that it would impact the ability for some people to even hold events, because even if events have non-playing refs in Europe, they might still be called on if, three people drop out. One of the subs might need to be your non-playing ref for whatever reason, and then yeah, don't know. I'm not saying that what you're proposing is bad. Just these are the reasons that we've looked at these things, considered them, but decided
I
against
kind
them.
of like the strike system, to be honest. I feel like
Mm.
it's
Oh, I like it. Yeah, yeah.
it's one of the more flexible things I've seen suggested, frankly, and I appreciate the flexibility. Like I
Mm.
think again, a lot of people who've been engaged in the rules conversations really want very absolute answers to rule systems, and I hope that through the conversation they're seeing that for some things some things are ambiguous and we can clear them up.
Mm.
Yes, and some things are always going to be a little bit ambiguous, especially in an environment where we have a broad range of skill.
Mm.
And you have things where it's like, well, a high skill player doing this is really really questionable. A new player doing this is almost definitely an honest mistake, and we need to have the
Mm.
flexibility to deal with both situations. So I think the strike system gives refs the power to be clear about, like, you
Right.
know,
And Zaps makes an argument for calling rest for chombos because it's significant, and that's true. That's true.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we don't see that many chombos that it doesn't weigh down the ref team too much anyway. Um, and you know, either the chombos are so obvious, like you're like, yeah, like if it's me, it's like I did a chombo, and the ref comes and writes it down and walks off. Other times the ref might already be there because the table situation's gone chaotic, and a chombo might need to be there. Yeah, and you said about ambiguity. It's really interesting. So I was talking to one of the top refs in WRC a couple of days ago, and they described to me a situation that they made a ruling on, and they were talking me through it. And in my head, I was going like, "Oh no, I wouldn't have done that at all. That's not. I would have made completely the opposite ruling, completely the opposite." Um,
Hmm.
but and I will stress this: they were the only one physically there looking at the table. So I have to rely on the fact that this person's very knowledgeable. They know the rules inside and out. They've done a lot of refing, and they stood there and they looked at it and they said, "This is the way it should be," and made the call. You're never going to be able to convey all of the information that you can process as a ref verbally to me 4 weeks later. It's just not possible. Which is why I'm a big fan of empowering refs to make the calls based on what they see, to have that base of knowledge and experience, but they have to feel confident that they can make those calls. Mm.
That makes sense to me. Like, yeah, you need to have people be empowered like that.
Mm. Yeah, so chill out. Yeah, I mean, exactly. If players stop, it's often, yeah, often, like if I'm refing, I tend to stand sort of where I can see all the tables, and even when I'm playing, you can start to hear the chombo developing like two tables down. Like I can hear it. Like you can start to hear the mumbling, the murmuring, and then people start shuffling in their seats, looking around to see where the ref is, and then you hear that ref. Yeah, yeah, it's usually, if you're fairly sort of standing there, But it's really, I don't think people appreciate the stamina it takes to be a ref as well. Like, you're just standing there watching people play the game
Yep.
you love.
Yep. Yep.
Like,
I think that
it's
was another conversation. I found this conversation to be very, very interesting. I think it was a
do we
public
love it though?
conversation. We love it.
Oh no.
It was had,
API
I
dev
think, in
comes out with a
public.
real hot take. We don't
It
love it,
was
do
about
we?
like substitutes and entry into events and how that ends up working. And there was a lot of different thoughts about this. I believe it was a public conversation, so I can talk about it more,
Mm.
without having to worry about anything. If I'm wrong, shout at me, but I'm pretty sure that was public. Um, what do you do with subs versus players, and do subs have to pay the entry to a tournament in order to be considered a player, and other things like that? Um,
Ah,
it's interesting because there was a really interesting question around this, that was had, which is, okay, so we have a tournament. I go to run my 5,000 person tournament, and I get, how does that divide properly? I get 4,997 players, so I'm three short of making my number.
mm,
Um, I take my three subs and I put them in,
mm.
but because I'm putting them in at the middle, my three subs now become full-fledged players, right?
So you're putting them in the start of the event.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next, on day two, cranky guy who's a bad person doesn't show up.
Mm,
I now have two options. Um, Actually, no, I'm sorry. Two people don't show up. Cranky
mm.
guy and their friend, another cranky guy whose parents teamed up on their names. Um, so now I am two people over.
Mm,
I have three subs in the game.
mm,
My options are to gain two additional subs
mm,
or have two of my subs drop out
mm.
to make the number work. What do I do, and how do I do it fairly? So, yeah, the challenge here is I have subs who, as of day one, thought they were going to be able to go through as full players. Um, some of them now definitely can't. Let's also say I cannot find more substitutes. I've called every friend I
Okay.
have,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
can't find more substitutes. So we now have to pull two of my existing substitutes out of the game. Now let's also assume this is not about the feelings of my substitutes. Like, my substitute players are very happy to do whatever it takes to make the tournament work. It's really just about what makes this fair. One suggestion was you pull the two lowest performing substitutes and let the third one finish the tournament out as a normal player. You can also do it the opposite way. You can also do it randomly. Um, what do we do? Yeah, well, and I think one of the things that stuck with me was a statement of saying that, like, putting the substitutes in and then pulling out the worst performing ones was kind of unfair, because it was kind of like allowing you to
Yeah.
throw players into the tournament and then see if any succeeded and then only
Yeah.
keep the best performing ones,
Yeah.
which
Don't
I'm
like
not
that.
sure how I feel about. Like, I don't want to write that off. Like, honestly, I hear that, and there's part of that that makes sense to me, and there's part of that that
Yeah.
doesn't.
I'm not sure how the NAMA ranking system is going, but for the EMA ranking system, that would be a big problem if people could assume that they were full players and then just exit and not have that ranked against them. That would be a big problem.
Well, I think that's the challenge, right? Like, I agree entirely about subs not paying. I think there was just a
Mm.
kind of a kerfuffle about people thinking subs
Well,
needed to
I
pay.
I was trying to say, actually, I think WRC, we had our sub pay. um, but it was from the very beginning, right? And we weren't sure how many people were turning up, and we had this little pool of people that were just hanging around, desperately hoping that a seat would open up. Um, and a seat opened up the day before, and I said, "Do you want to join? Pay the money, you're in." Um, but I guess they weren't strictly a sub. We hadn't kind of designated them as a sub. They were
The
sort of
the
wait. They were waitlist. They were waitlist. Let's say it was different. They were waitlist. There's waitlist and subs, right? Maybe that's the difference there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think the challenge is, well, a sub should a sub should assume they're not going to play. If you're going to be real with your substitutes, you got to be like, look, you're coming to sit, almost definitely.
Yeah.
You're coming to sit, and you're, yeah, you're super appreciated. Like the people willing to do that are wonderful people, and thank you so much because you make events happen. But to be real with the sub, you have to be like, you are coming to sit. And if everything goes right, you will sit and not play in this event. If subs are coming expecting to play, I think that's not a good expectation to give them. But yeah, you should make them pay. That's the thing. They're volunteering their time. And I think it's fine for an organizer if they turn a sub into a real player, because the only reason that sub is there is because they were willing to volunteer their time to sit on their hands for 2 days and just make sure the event
And
worked.
often it just
But
makes kind of it's I always think it's better if a sub is playing for real anyway. If they're coming from hand one, I kind of want them to play for real.
yeah,
Otherwise,
I'd rather have someone play for real.
otherwise,
Um,
yeah, sub off. Yeah, don't know. I'd never like subs. It's always a problem.
I think the challenge also becomes like, yeah, like what is the outcome? In other words, if it's a ranked game. So right now for the qualifiers, it's like, oh, if you're winning, if you do well in the qualifier, you'll get points.
Mm.
So the sub that's in 80th place out of 100 people, like realistically, if you yank them, you're not really impacting the people who could win. The people below them weren't about to get up to the top echelon anyway, and their negative result wouldn't even matter. But if you have an overall ranking system where their negative result would matter, now you're sparing your subs the negative result, because you needed to pull a sub back out so that they don't have to take a negative.
Yeah.
Now, you could argue that that's a fine incentive to get people to be subs. Because if they do get into this situation, they can have some insurance against a negative outcome. But I don't like that. I think that ends up feeling like paying people with game results, which is not a good thing.
Yeah.
Um, the problem is, like, if you take a sub out of the top, you've greatly impacted the top tier. If you take a sub out of the bottom, you spared someone a bad placement. I mean, the other answer could be your subs fundamentally play as subs unless you can show that you have enough additional subs to cover any situation.
Yeah. I mean, I was quite shocked actually to learn that the attrition rate of American tournaments was as high as it was. Europe, we don't tend to get ourselves into these kerfuffles because
Again, we
people
got
do tend up
newer
from if they
players.
turn up at day one, they'll be there at day two unless someone's sick or personal
We
troubles,
got we got
whatever.
a lot of newer players, and some small percentage of them just have bad attitudes, and some small percentage of them are going to come to a tournament and be like, I really don't like this. I don't want to keep going. Like, it's
Mm.
going to happen as new players filter in. You're going to have some. Again, this is I am not at all saying like new players do this, but
No.
there's always a small percentage of people. And then for players who've been around for a while, that percentage gets even smaller because they've either they do like it, so they're not shocked, or they've been around, which means that they've behaved properly, and it's self-selecting.
Mm. I mean, I only know of one incident in the UK where someone didn't turn up on day two, and I think they were never allowed to attend on a UK tournament ever again. Was our our answer to that problem. And I guess it comes back to environment as well. And I think every time someone says there's this unhappy behavior happening, I go, well, what's the environment? And so the environment in the EMA, the European events, is even if you're not doing as well as you hoped, there's still you should still turn up because if even if you improve your placement by a few places, it improves your placement on the EMA ranking.
I think having a larger scale thing that you're part of will help people a lot. I
Mm.
think, yeah, I think that if getting a DNF is like a DNF and a black mark on your ranking, people will think
Yeah.
twice
Yeah.
about just DNFing,
So
again,
that's what we
short
do,
of
yeah.
an
Because
emergency.
they then get all of the disqualification for each of the hand chan for that day, and that would be significantly negative on their MERS ranking. And Zap says as well, for the UK, we have the most improved score from since day one, which is also a great incentive.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I love that. Like even if I've not done very well on day one, I know that I could still get a little trophy.
Yeah, I think that's a nice little incentive too. I think you want to do a little bit of pull where you give people incentive, and a little bit of push where people will get penalized,
Exactly.
or it'll be bad if you just don't show up. Like, again, if you have an actual emergency, that's a separate issue and can be managed in a
Mm.
respectful way. But like, if you just are like, I don't want to come, this sucks. Like, all right, well,
I mean, even then, let's say that I was sick for the second day of an event, I would expect my score to be minus 30, minus 30, minus 30.
yeah, like
It's,
in my opinion, the DNF penalty should be the same, but then there
yeah.
should be like an honorable versus, if there's like an
I mean,
honorable versus dishonorable discharge.
uh, okay, but we don't. Yeah, I suppose so. But I wouldn't even worry about it personally. I'd be like, oh, that's the game.
Again,
I don't get
I think
sick
there should
often.
be
I just
some
guess.
distinction between someone who like my appendix exploded and I was rushed to the hospital so I couldn't be there versus I wasn't winning. I
Hmm.
feel like the latter should be
Yeah.
handled more
I
harshly.
mean, again, maybe this is because we don't really have this problem in Europe. I just don't see people dropping because they're having a miserable time.
I think we'll see it less as the tournament crowd gets a little more seasons, and again, the people who do that aren't
Hmm.
going to be wanted back at future events if they just don't show.
Yeah, penalties are contingent on a medical
Oh
test.
God, oh God,
Everyone started getting sick,
let's never
and
do
then
that again.
we were supposed to have that, for the people who dropped out, they were like people were supposed to come, but they were just getting sick, and then they were scared to get sick because, of course, you couldn't get back on the flight to Japan if they had COVID. Oh no! Oh, what treasures does 2025 wait for me? It was terrible. The ASIC stock. Don't. Do you know how much work and effort and energy I put
Because
into that? I was so
yeah, that was
excited for it.
so.
And then I suddenly get this call, like, what was it, like a week or so before? And they're like, he's got COVID. And I'm like, you what? He's got what? No, he can't have COVID.
It's a,
Not him.
that's not it.
Anyone but
That can't be
him.
the case.
Yeah.
All right, so
Why
I
didn't you
have
even get a
something
test?
cool I can show up. I can show off another cool thing. We have 45 minutes. We can either look at some mahjong or I can show off some more cool stuff.
No, I didn't know if you had more hot takes, Dave. Was that your hot
Oh, I don't know.
takes?
Those some of the hot takes. I think we talked about a lot of really
They weren't the
interesting things.
hottest of takes. Yes,
They're not the
it was
hottest
very
of
interesting.
takes.
It was a very interesting conversation. I think the hottest take is that Ron is a stupid way to call for a win.
That's a
Ron
hot
and
take.
Sumo are both stupid.
Both Ron and Sumo have to go. They're just going to be
Yes,
replaced with Dave. We're just going to call Dave. When you win, you just say Dave.
Dave.
That's what I want. I want Dave to be the winning call. We're going to bring that to Japanese. They can say Debu, but we're going to say Dave. Yeah, Dave is the winning call when you win. That's the new meme. You just call Dave.
I mean, the British infamously go, "Oh, sorry."
Oh, sorry.
If you go to a British tournament, that's all like, "Oh, sorry, Ron. Oh, sorry, Sumo." Like you can't say it without saying sorry. So
Just
they
don't
might
ask
as well
Dave
just make the
questions that
call.
reveal the game state. You can ask Dave questions,
Yeah,
just not
no,
questions that
because you're
make
the
the game
ref.
state
You can't go.
obvious.
You can't call for you over
Yeah,
because
that's
if you
Dave.
said
That's Dave.
Dave, then they'd be like, false Ron.
Hey, can I win on this?
They say thank you. Charles says thank you. Very polite.
Thank you.
Very polite people, my people.
It's rude. It's rude.
Right, Dave wants to share something
I
exciting.
can show. Hold on. Let me see if I can show this off real quick. Then we can
What
do
if
some
your
mahjong.
ref is named Ron? Oh no.
Then you got problems. Then
You've
you got
got big
problems.
problems. Ronald Weasley has come to ref your tournament.
Ronald has been called. There's someone in this chat who calls Ronald to win. Um, they will go uncalled out. But Ronald. All right, so I'm gonna show this off a little bit. You can see we have our cool alpha season standings. I'm always showing this off because I spent like a day and a half on this. So this is our league. We got a lot of people here, and the way the league ends up working is you play as many games as you want, but your best streak of 9 contiguous games is your
Hmm.
score. So you have to come to at least like 3 sessions. Basically, we're having like 8 sessions of the league, so it's still going. There's still plenty of time if you're in town to join our league. But what I did here, which I really like, is I made these cool graphs. And you can see that the graphs contain players' performance as well as their average outcome and their best streak. And so now you can see each player's streak. And this is kind of neat because this is all done in line, which is really cute. The graphs are computed on the fly. So as we update the page, we'll get new, better graphs with more stuff. And you can see everyone's streak and how they're doing. You can see that Chowhow here, if Chowhow gets any positive result, their streak's going to go up because they're going to be able to eliminate this minus 22 and replace it with actually even if they get like a light net, like anything's going to make it better for them.
Yeah.
While for example, I think Arthur has a little bit of a challenge because they're stuck with some really great early results. So it's going to take a lot of really positive play to up that streak, but they're number 1, so hey, they're already doing pretty good.
It's interesting, isn't it, though? Like they've technically got more. Oh no, so I see. So that more recent red is not included in the streak. But they've got three negatives in their streak compared to
Right, right, but they're
yeah.
small.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they don't. So the total sum of the streak is much better. While
yeah.
for Chow, he's got two negatives in the streak, and so it's easy to drop one if the next result is good. Well, I think Arthur, yeah, Arthur's streak is in a tough spot because this big negative is going to be a big blocker for getting that streak to move anywhere else. But the existing
Yeah.
streak's really good. The existing streak's number one. So like, hey,
Mhm.
more good play can in theory improve that streak. It's pretty neat. I spent a good chunk of time making these graphs work.
No, very
Uh,
nice, Dave. I'm
the
very
other thing that I
impressed.
did, which is really cool, check this out, is if you're viewing it on. I'm sorry, I'm just showing off Dave's crap he did on a web page, but uh, so the graphs actually, you can resize the page. You can't see easily that I'm resizing. But if it gets narrow enough, they'll resize, and then eventually, if you get down to mobile size, they'll become vertical graphs, so that you can still read them even on your phone. Isn't that cool?
That is very cool,
Um,
Dave. Dave's been doing good
and then when it
stuff.
gets big enough for horizontal, it'll go back to being really
CSS
horizontal again.
wizard confirmed.
Yeah, no, I'm not a CSS wizard, but I was able to use some CSS wizardry and make this work. So I'm very proud of this that we can use to display our outcomes. And I need to do some more work on displaying outcomes as we go. This has been one of
How is
the main
the
projects.
USPML league going?
Oh, it's really good. I think it's been really great. We have like 16 to 20 people per session at this point.
Hmm.
I think we've done a great job with the way it's structured. And Nick is our lead commissioner, so Nick's the one who came up with the structure for this and has been taking the point on it. So I want to make sure to give proper credit there. And we have a bunch of folks who've been helping out with reffing. Uh, you know, Dennis been helping out, Rob's been helping out, many people helping out. I want to give credit to all the people who've helped out to make it work because it's obviously not just like you know one person doing it on their
Okay,
own. Everyone's been doing
because we've
great.
been talking about refs. What is the spiciest ref call that's happened in the league?
Oh my god. I don't know if there's really been one. Things have been reasonably
Ah,
chill. I don't think there's been a spicy ref call.
Dave,
Most of our players are
boring.
pretty experienced, and so like I think most things have been handled pretty reasonably.
Ah.
Our
Oh no, but
spiciest,
then
to
but
be
those
honest,
are the people who always do something completely chaotic, and
it
you come
hasn't
over and
happened
you're like,
yet.
"What the fuck have you
It
managed to
hasn't
achieve
happened
here?"
yet. I'm sure it
Ah.
will. Our spiciest times have been about talking. It's been about making sure people know this is no fun league. It is not time to be chatting around. It's time to just like,
Really? That's a
yeah,
that is a struggle.
yeah, yeah. I think I'm still drunk last night. Oh God, you can continue.
Yeah, I was
At
like,
least if this is UK Mahjong, you're expected to be drunk, right?
so I sat at a table. This was many years ago now, and like the guy obviously gone out drinking the night, so it was the day two.
Here's my
He was
incomplete streak.
absolutely trashed apparently, and he came and like he was just hanging out his ass. He was just all over the shop, and then I was sat to the left of him, and like he started kind of like whatever, and then then he just vomited everywhere. On the table, on the floor. Like, I managed to leap back, but I kid you not, there was just vomit everywhere. What do you do as a ref?
Oh jeez, Jesus. You know what? I need to change. I need to update these. I should make the incomplete ones always be 9 points wide, so you can see how far
Dave
they are from getting
Dave's
a
too
complete streak.
focused on his
But
beautiful
no,
thing.
I'm thinking
Obstruction, yeah.
obstruction, obstruction,
But I was
obstruction.
just like, I mean, I think in the end we had to just say for that table that we just couldn't include it. There was just no way to proceed. Like,
Yeah, you can't.
we had
There's
to
nothing
clean
to
up the
do.
vomit.
There's nothing to
Um,
do.
I forget what we did. I think maybe everyone got a flat 10,000 or something. It was really weird.
That
'Cause,
is a little
like,
weird.
there was vomit on the mat, there was vomit on someone's shoe, the guy was just we had to had to find a sub, obviously, but it was
Ooh,
the table
ooh.
just could not continue. It wasn't even like, "Oh, just bring a sub in." Um, hot note, that's always why WRC has 1 spare table. In
Yeah.
case
Wow.
so
Jeez.
I can just lift and shift you.
Yeah. That's
That
my
that
that's my note to
experience
self on
that
this.
experience is burned in my memory forever now. But yeah, I only just avoided the vomit because I saw him start to chunder and I kind of like jumped back.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
There. We had to like clean the mahjong tiles. It was horrible. Everything stunk of vomit as well. And I'm one of those people where if I smell vomit, I want
Oh
to
yeah. It just
vomit
makes you.
too. I'm like,
No, you don't
yeah.
want to do that. You don't want to do
I had
that.
to sit outside for like 30 minutes. I was like, I can't go back in there.
I need to fix that's my takeaway from this is make my charts always 9 wide
Mm.
because that way you can see how close people are to completing a streak who have incomplete streaks.
Mm.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kodai streak is looking pretty
Mm.
good. Pretty much any good result for Kodai is gonna be rocketing
Yeah.
them up to in the placements.
But
But yeah,
that's
so
why
this is
that's
one
why
of the
we
things
actually
I've been
need to have
doing.
a bit of confidence, a bit of flexibility because someone's going to do something absolutely horrendous.
That's true. It's true. Um,
But yeah, you need to fix your charts as well, Dave. Dave is really focused on his charts.
I spent a lot of time on this. I worked really hard to make this viable so that it could display the data so people could see instead of just getting a number. They could see some details as to how they were doing. Um,
I'm really just kind of trying to, I'm pretty sure as soon as we come off stream, I'm going to remember some awesome calls that I've had to see and hear.
God, just assume capital. Looking at my own code, I'm like, no, nothing about this is beautiful. It's all so gross. But I do remember having to do all that stuff in like one sleepless night before the game started, having to run around like crazies, just being like, oh my God.
So like, so Dave wrote that. It was quite crazy. So we were doing 2017 and we got there. I got there just a bit before Dave. Dave was coming
We've
in
told this
a
story
few
so many
hours after.
times.
Right, but I don't think people like nothing happened. We had like a day to put everything together. It was a day and a half, right? But then of course the whole gun shooting thing
Yeah, yeah, that
happened.
whole thing
The
just
whole
obliterated our
yeah,
ability to
whilst
do
Dave was
anything.
in the air, I think. Because
It
wasn't
was
your
just as
flight
I landed. It
was
happened just as I
oh
landed.
just as you like because some people's flights were delayed, right? Because of it.
Yeah.
Um anyway, so then and then so Dave was supposed to get that all sorted. But then we couldn't because we spent that day before running around trying to work out if we could even hold the event and whether we should be telling people not to get on planes or whether we were going to do it. And then yeah, so then poor Dave had to sit there the whole night before the tournament. And I came in the next morning and he was still there, like huddled over his computer, going, I think I've done it, Gemma. I think I've done it. But yeah,
Oh God, that
and
was
it
sure
worked
a
really
time.
well. It worked. My parents could even use it, so it must be beautiful.
I mean, yeah, I can make it work. We did it, but like, geez, was that? Jeez, and to think I got to get a job again one of these days. I really don't want to do that. This isn't the rest of the hot Dave gossip. Is that I got to think about getting a job now. But we can also look at an Armor game. I got an Armor game we can look at if
Yeah,
you want to
yeah, I was
spend
about to say
our remaining time
I
actually
was
looking at
gonna show one of
Mahjong.
my games and then I remembered that my last game I played, my router went down. So I then managed to get it back up and realized that I had lost the game entirely because I'd been disconnected and I was
Oh
so angry.
no.
There was lots of swearing.
Hmm.
Luckily next door went in. But yeah.
That's unfortunate. All right,
Mhm.
we can look at this
Let's look
Armor
at your
game.
game.
Armor game. It's not my game. It's the game of someone I know that we're sitting in the seat of someone I know, so I can criticize them as much as I want.
Oh, lovely. Do we
Um,
like this person? Because if
we
we
do
like them,
like this person. We do
we
like this
criticize
person.
them harder then.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's very very British. I like that. All right. So let's see what we got. We got south door. We got a
No, you've got
south.
to draw better tiles. This is
Yeah. This is
absolute
really
garbage. This
bad.
is just shit. Sorry.
Ah. No, it's
Bleh.
fine. We can trim a north. Get rid of hots. Great. It got grabbed. Get rid of eight. We don't even need this eight. I might have chucked the chun first. All right, 3-4. We got maybe 2-3-4 Sanshoku Tanyao thing going on here. Sure. All right, the sixth lets us drop. Okay, 2-4-6-8. All right, all right, all right. All right, we got our first 2-3-4 done. 1-2-3-4. All right, we'll drop the 9 for 2-4-6-8. I don't know why we really want the 1-2-3-4-5. All right, all right, all right. Look at that. Look at that. That south is just hanging out in our hand though.
Yeah, it's a door though. You can't get rid of it.
1-1-2-3-4-5. All right, now we're trending towards that Sanshoku. It looks like, but we don't
No, it
call
trending
for it
towards
because we're not
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, 2, 3, 4, right? No, I mean, you can't call for it. This is absolute garbage still.
We switch to have the pair be the 8 and have the 2-4-6 and okay, okay.
Yeah,
But now a non-dealer reach, dealer challenges.
fold, just fold, just fold.
We do not. We push with the 6 here. Ugh. I kind of like it, but it's kind of ridiculous.
Why would
Why?
you like it? There's nothing to like.
I mean, it's hand one of the game. It's hand one of the game when we
Right,
push
exactly. You
it.
don't need to hand like unnecessary points up. And look, it was close.
It was yeah, here we go. But this is this oh man, they wanted the Sanshoku also. This ends up just being reach Pinfu. Uh Dora, one Uradora.
No, that 6 was crazy. If you're watching, I don't know who you are. Whichever of my best friends you are, that was a crazy throw.
Well, now we're south and we got two south. This is actually a much stronger hand.
Not yet.
Our mahjong energy. We got a Dora. We got a pair of south. Our mahjong energy has pulled these tiles to us by
Yeah.
the strength we
Yeah.
displayed in the first
Oh,
hand.
it was the 6. It was the 6th throw created
Yeah,
the
the sixth
karma,
throw
right?
created the opportunity.
Okay, fair
All right,
enough.
we cycle out the 1-2. We cycle. Okay, we're kind of a little. Ah, jeez. Fourth discard dealer reach. What do we do? We can probably throw the east. That's almost definitely safe. The 6 mon is actually not a terrible tile, but I bet we just throw the east.
Yeah, well, and you've got the south, so I just fold. I wouldn't bother. It's
We
not
throw the
that great.
6 here to wiggle.
Okay.
No, we are making this happen.
I mean, it is
Now
kind of, but you're
we start dropping the souths. Okay, now the souths are coming out.
yeah, yeah, good call, good call.
Okay. We have 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, and judging by this 4 discard, the 2 and 5 are dangerous. Like, and I feel like we recognize this. We don't want to
I
throw
mean,
that 2
all
or
of the
that
pin
5.
suit is dangerous as well. Like,
Yeah. Well, not the 4 anymore. Hooray. 1 mon makes it by 2 pin. There we go. Done.
yeah, exactly.
Reach
I
Dora
I think I
Dora.
probably would have tried throwing the 8 man over the because the 1 man is Suji on the door. I think that was a bit of a
Yeah, yeah, that's a little risky.
and you can see 3 of the 9s. The 6s are safe. I mean, you can see 4 of the 9s even. So the 8 is effectively a
The 8's
terminal tile at this point.
pretty cut. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's not a but if you're gonna do it, I wouldn't
And you
throw
have
the
2,
1.
so if you get away with one, you can get away with the other.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Oh,
throw the 1 man.
7,700 to the dealer, so that's another oof for us. All right, we got 1, 2, 3, 7, 7, 7, 3, 4. All right, let's see if something good happens here. 6, 7. Look at that. Look at that. This hand wants to live. 7, 8. All right, all right, all right. 6, 7, 8. Ishan 10 on a pin fu. No. 6,
Hmm.
7, 8, 9. We throw the 9. 1 we throw. Gets called. Okay. 9 we throw. 6, 6. Oh, okay. So now we take the bad reach. How sad.
No, but you have to, your dealer. It
It's a
sucks,
2
but
5 pin, and 3 of the 2s are dead already. No one respects it. And they say, jeez, this is an emotionally unpleasant game.
yeah,
This
I concur.
is an emotionally unpleasant game. That hand wanted to live. All right, what do we got here? All right, this isn't bad either. This isn't bad at all.
No, but there's no
There's no
obvious value.
value. Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
value, but we could maybe win it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I thought for some reason. Oh, you were at dealer before, were you?
No, we weren't. No, we weren't.
No. Why did I think you were a dealer? That's a yeah, okay. Maybe I wouldn't have taken that reach then. Sorry, I thought you were a dealer. I wouldn't have taken that reach. Let me
Pin's
correct
coming hard
myself.
from the left. 6, 7. We throw the 3 to. I don't know why we do this. I don't like this. Oh, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs. We're thinking maybe Chitoy.
Yeah, maybe.
But then we'd lose that 3, 4, which is a little disappointing. We missed our pair of 7s too. Okay, we got 2, 3, 4.
Do we ever cut 3 bamboo over 7 bamboo? Yeah, I would. Correct. Yeah.
I might just because we probably
Yeah.
don't want to get 3 of a kind to the 3 bamboo anyway. So opening up this section of tiles to do something seems more valuable if I had to do something about that.
I guess the risk, and maybe it's more pertinent for the first 7 bamboo. The risk of holding that 3 bamboo is it's useful for someone waiting on a door, right? So it's probably better to
Hmm.
get it out of your hands. I guess the 7 bamboos also. I don't know.
Well, we throw the 3 bamboo now because the reach comes up and it's hard safe. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I personally probably would like the 7 bamboo, but
1 bamboo is safe. Nope. Another deal in from the dealer. Oy, oy, oy. Oy, 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 oy. Big hand.
that's a big
Nice.
deal.
Nice, nice, nice.
It's a nice hand.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a nice hand.
So what's that? That's reach, pinfu, ipeko, um, chanta, close
Yeah.
chanta, and dora.
Dave's
Seem-
learning to read kanji, so
I can't read any of this.
Oh, really?
That's not true, actually. That's
Oh,
not true.
I thought you were going through the list. That's why.
No, I mean, I can kind of identify some of these things. Like Ipeko has one in mouth
I
and
mean,
Lee in
no
coat.
one writes Ricci in kanji anyway, unless you're Tenho. It's just weird.
What? Interesting. Um, yeah, I'll look at this later. Uh, no, I knew it was Chanta. I just was trying to organize the names into what they
Mm.
actually were.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, big hand back from last place, bringing last place up to everyone's. We're now in last place, so it's the best situation possible, right? And now we have a hand that's half Kokshi, half not.
Half Kokshi. It's nowhere
Well,
near
half. Yeah, we
Kokshi.
have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 Kokshi tiles. Half Kokshi. That's valid. That's a valid thing to say.
Yeah, but you say it, and then people will start doing it. That's the problem. Like long
No
suji.
one follows my
As soon
lead.
as someone said long suji, I was like, oh no. True, Imaska likes your.
Yeah, it's just facts. It's just facts.
No,
Oh my god, we've
I
missed.
wonder why they discarded the first two bamboo. I wonder if that was a misclick. Yeah, correct. I agree. It must be a misclick.
Yeah, it
The
must be.
first two
Might have just
bamboo.
been a misclick. Also, we're giving up a great everything here. Like every tile we draw. Now here's the Dora. We don't throw that. We
I
got two,
mean,
three, four done. All right, all right, all right.
no, you're folding here. You're folding. You're not playing this hand.
Are
This is
you
a bad
sure? Are you
hand.
sure we're not making a sick Junchan?
It's just this is a foldy hand.
Oh no! This locks in the Dora use, so I
Korak agrees
see.
it's Junchan.
It's Junchan. It's Junchan. But
There's no value.
we swap off the Jun. That's what the Junchan's for.
Well,
Junchan
you're
Dora
not
one's
going to get the
3.
Junchan. You're not getting there. It's not happening. Stop
Bet we
making
could have.
Junchan a thing.
I bet we could have. I bet we could have.
Oh well.
Let's see what happens. We would have had all 3 of these Chuns too. That would have been friggin' sick. We didn't
Yeah, that
believe. We could
does.
have had Chuns and 2 Hakus, but actually, no, the Hots died pretty quick, so there was no hope for anything exciting like that. Okay. That would have been the third Haku. We would have had Chun and Haku out. We would have had a half flush too. Would have been sick. Sick. There's our 6. No. 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 There's that third 2. No,
I
this
told
hand is
you.
very dead. Very dead. Because we didn't push it though. If we pushed it, our Mahjong energy would have pulled the.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like about yeah after the
You need
first
you
two
need you need the good
discards.
Mahjong energy. You need to have the Mahjong energy.
Yeah.
East 4, and we are. This is an emotionally draining game. Again, this is a game where nothing has worked.
Close though. It's really close.
It is close. Like we're not screwed, but just everything we've tried to do has not
And
happened.
this is
But
a draw that I want to play now.
this is a good hand.
Yeah.
This is a hand that's like
Yeah.
barreling towards Pinfu, maybe even Tanyao.
Sanshoku.
You think
Maybe.
3, 4, 5 Sanshoku is very doable.
Yeah.
Except we drop the 3 here because we keep 7, 8. I don't like this very much because we already have the 4, 5. So like I don't see the value in including the 9 pin. We could already take the 6. I don't love that.
I guess so. I think maybe what they're thinking is they want to build their 3-side weight, and that's great. But I wouldn't cut off the Sanshoku chance for that. And if I was going to do that, I'd probably cut the 7-8 bamboo because you're not going to get a 3-side weight over there.
Yeah. Now we have another 3, 4, 5. And we cut the bamboo side. Again, I'm just kind of like, I don't know if that's a good plan. We have 2 9s dead.
6, 7, 8.
6,
Yeah.
7, 8. It's a
That is a
push, but it's not
spicy take.
impossible.
I can't be
And
dealing with these
our
acronyms, by
tempi.
the way. The SSK. I can't. It just
Okay, I guess we wouldn't
surely
have
it should
gotten
just
it.
be SS, and no one wants that as the acronym,
Shoot.
right?
Now we have a big problem. We got a
Yeah.
Dora.
Yeah, you have big
Now we got
problem.
another Dora. Now we're stuck. Unless we're just going to call for Tanyao Dora, which is possible. But the player to our right is very obviously.
Sorry, Granny. Sorry. Yeah, but do you know what? So quite a few people were using for Yu Kyoku. They were using RKK, and every time they typed it, I'm like, what the fuck does RKK stand for?
RKK, Ryukyu.
Yeah, but it's Ryu Kyoku. It's not Ryu Kyoku. It's Ryu Kyoku. Am I being an elitist Japanese speaker?
I wouldn't
I
say
am.
elitist, but I will say you are you are glossing over the non-native speaker pronunciation that's being used to generate that acronym, which doesn't have validity over the actual
I know,
pronunciation. So
and
maybe
I
that's
will
fine.
say as well, like I think that the way the Americans pronounce the Japanese words, like, does sound significantly different to the way other English speakers attempt it. And you know what's always baffled me is because my husband's called Toshi, and even though Jen and Garth are very fluent Japanese speakers, they both say Toshi. And I'm like, where'd you get that from? Whereas every British person will say Toshi. It's really weird. I don't know.
Toshi,
Anyway,
Toshi.
Toshi, because
Called
it's Hey Tosh got a Toshiba if you're old enough to remember that advert.
Sanshoku. Called
If
Sanshoku.
every syllable gets a letter. Oh, God, I can't deal with that.
This is
Those
just
these people
devastating.
need to get their wanny canny out and learn their readings. That's what I'm gonna say.
This is just devastating. Devastating. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But I think they were strong to keep the 4. I think that was a great play.
Yeah, they
I
got it.
think,
You got to keep the 4.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. That was absolutely correct. It's just this is just emotionally so rough. Every time they're getting some wind in their sails, it's just like, no, no, someone else
Yeah.
just won something. Sorry, no.
I see, Dev, I can cope with that one. That one I can cope with because e-paycor. Or, however, though, I will say that e-paycor as a word, as a martial terminology, is absolute nonsense. It makes no sense. The
What does it
kanji
mean?
are
How does it?
gobbledygook. Oh, Gemma even wrote a blog post about her rage. Um,
All right, West is very dead, so we can get rid of West.
Here you go. I'm just gonna post it. No, did I not? I'm pretty sure I did. Oh,
4th
no.
discard reach from across, so now we're just in Crapsville.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is.
What do we do? Probably we throw Form on, actually. If we want to have any chance of continuing with this hand, we throw Form on. And yeah, yeah.
There you
And we
go.
just
That gives you some
pray.
history about where the e-paycor thing comes from. It's a peculiar yaku to Japanese mahjong, probably. There is one that they think is from Chinese, which is like I guess you could say Ibanko. Yeah, um but
Oh,
but
Jesus.
like this says it's like, so if you look at the kanji, it's like the mouth of a cup. It doesn't make any
I,
sense. So there was I did hear someone
oh,
give a
no, the
theory
North
that
is
because it
Adora and
sounds
it's
like let's go
ours.
for a drink together. That was the other theory I heard. But yeah, it's anyway. But I can cope with IPK. That one's okay. You can use that one. That doesn't upset me. What we got here? Oh, Dora. Yeah, you're fucked.
We gotta push this. We can't, because at first I wasn't really thinking about North being the door. I'm like, oh, we can use this as a great time to get rid of the North and turn the 8 into our pair and
Mm.
still stay Ishanten. But because the North is Adora, there's nothing to do with push. It's too good.
No, yeah, you got to push. You got to push. There's no
It's
other
too
way.
good.
No, it's
Well,
fine.
once again, we get reach, Pinfu Dora.
But you're not, because you're not throwing in. You've got a whole south round now. It's okay.
I know, it's so friggin' frustrating to have this happen again. And I'm frustrated just watching this to have again and again. Every time a hand starts to get some traction, it's just like, nope. Sorry,
No,
no, no,
this is
zonk,
a good
nope.
one. West
It's not
half
bad.
flush.
Could be. Could be.
I would be aggressively
Looks
calling
like,
this
yeah,
one.
looks like we are just doing it.
Good.
So we
Yeah.
can
Don't
discard.
don't
Yep,
worry about
yep.
anyone else.
I would have
It's
gotten rid of that 5 a little earlier, but now it's gone. That's fine.
just drive.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yet there's
Yeah.
still a reach.
I just ignore it. Eyes closed.
Oh, I'd play the Chun here. I don't know. Maybe.
No, I'd let Jesus take the wheel.
The 2 is
Oh,
not safe. Yep, again, even our aggressive push hand, someone else wins against someone else. On a closed weight reach
it's all
Dora.
right. It's all right.
But they're
A
the
nice,
dealer, which made it made sense
yeah.
for them to do it. Again, no one's it's
Uh,
not that anyone's doing anything bad. It's just like, ugh.
no, but you're still
Okay,
so
how
close.
about this time? How about this time?
I'm too stressed to even watch this play out now.
I like how Mahjong just continuously is like, but maybe this? Maybe this is good enough for you? Maybe this is a hand you can make happen? How? How? Tell me what happens here.
Oh, you're immediately going to draw another bamboo tile, so you're not sure where to make your half flush happen. There you go.
All right, all right. We call that, we get rid of the pins. We call west, we get rid of that. Okay. We fuss around.
Don't fuss around. If you fuss,
Oh,
Marshawn will hear and punish you.
oh, I wouldn't have done that. I think that's a big mistake.
But you would have cut south instead of the 7 bamboo?
I
No.
would have cut north. There's 3 norths on the table. I can do literally it's the Dora, but I can't touch it anymore.
But I
Oh, no, I'm
think
sorry, west is the Dora, not north. No, no.
Korak would have thrown the south instead of the 7 bamboo because there are already 2 souths on the table. Aqua doesn't think you need the half flush. It's true. It's probably an overreach, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I think I
concur.
would have counted the south as dead here and at least gotten rid of it and held my reservations.
I mean, the
And
Norths are
then
dead as well, as you
the
said.
norths are dead, and this is where and then you would have had 6, 7, and then you would have been
Yeah.
Tempai right here.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm sorry, friendo.
but right here, with this structure right here, north or south has to go, preferably north. North is literally useless to you.
Yeah.
All 3 norths on the table is dead, and this lets you call into Tempai,
Yeah.
but it doesn't happen. Another
Yeah, that's a
7.
weird throw, that 5-man.
And this would have been the Tempai on the 6-9.
Oh.
And
Oh.
ah, ah,
That wasn't
how
that was an error, mate. I'm really sorry.
the
I
Hots was just sitting over here too.
don't
They were getting
think it
ready for it.
I don't think it would have changed. You still probably would not have won, right?
I don't think there was
No.
a way to avoid it. It depends. It depends on what
But
was
you would have
seen by
been
other players.
Tempai. You would have been
Yeah, there would have been
Tempai.
Tempai here. Um, yeah, you would have been at least Tempai here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Pinfu only.
But now, and also now, so if you'd have kept the 7, like Korak suggested, you then would have drawn the 6 and you could have kept that. You could then have called the 8 bamboo that was discarded from B-Sam.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you would
You would
have
have
won
been
on
in
the
a
6th.
totally different
Yeah.
situation then.
This is also a little bit of a weird play from Bison. I mean,
No,
they're
so
shutting you down, but it doesn't actually get them anywhere, which is not ideal for them.
Chiral, yeah, so he threw the 7
Here, wait, we can go back.
and then he drew the 6 and he threw the 9 instead of the 6.
Right here, we called the Dora West,
Yeah.
and then we throw the 7 bamboo, when I
So
think we should have just thrown the
if he kept the
North.
7, so if he kept the 7 here, so then go and then keep going
Right.
forward.
The next draw was a 6, so then we
Yeah.
would have had 6, 7.
And
If
then you'd have
anything,
had
we
the
should have
6,
cut
7
the
tab,
9.
yeah.
If anything, if we had to cut a so tile here, we should have cut the 9.
Yeah, I'm
Because
just
the
saying, yeah, oh,
but
yeah,
it should have
from
been the
yeah.
North. It should have been the North or the South.
Yeah, because then you would have had the 6, 7, B-San would have thrown
I'm
the
sorry,
8,
friend.
he'd have called it, the entire game would be different then. The entire game state would
Yeah,
have
because
been
then we'd
changed.
have 6, 7, and then we'd have 7, 7, 8 because we could have gotten rid of the 9 here or the South or something. This 5 would have been unnecessary. We call here and get Tempai on the 6 and 9. Then the drawing and discarding of tiles changes, but then we're
Yeah.
Tempai on the 6 and the 9.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Here we draw 6, but we wouldn't have drawn it. It would have been a different tile.
but let's say, but that's the thing. If he'd have kept the 7, he'd have kept the 6, he'd have called the 8. Maybe this hand would have been 1.
Yeah, yeah. It wouldn't have been half flush, but it would still have been Mongon.
Yeah, and that would be a big deal on this table.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, do you know what, Aqua? I think a lot of people feel pressure for a flush hand. It looks good, right? But it's especially an open one. It's sometimes not. Don't need to push for it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, man, this is a rough. I would be really bummed out right now. I would just be in a bad place.
Big takeaways, Mangan is Mangan. Yeah.
What are you thinking here? Like Sanchoku Junchan, maybe.
Oh, a bad hand. Exactly. Exactly correct. This hand was amazing. It was not a bad hand. Don't like that three hold.
See, I like this. We got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Look at this. Look at this. Sanchoku Junchan. You just had to believe. Okay. Well. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We're building it into a valid hand here. We're taking a bad weight. Oh no, that's not true. It's Sanchoku. Okay. 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 It is a bad weight, but it is Sanchoku. It's a 3-han hand, 4 if you sumo. That's not bad.
Strong and stable.
Yeah. 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 That's not bad. That's not bad. But of course, we immediately draw the stupid door we would have wanted. Immediately, everything is terrible today in
Yeah, but it's
mahjong.
only one hand. Sanchoku is two hand.
Yeah, but we would have gotten Pinfu with that also. We could be on the 2-5 wait for reach Pinfu Dora.
That's true.
Um,
Oh no. Mm.
but it does not look like anyone wants to give up the tile that we want, or that anyone's particularly scared or nervous. 2, 3, 4 would have let us get another Sancho. These are all
No luck. No luck.
Tenpai no 10 with the rest of our 3 pins held by someone making use of them. So like, hey, but oof, oof. All right. Well, it brings everyone a little closer though. So everyone gets a little closer. And now what do we got? This is also weird.
I mean, it's the sort of hand that you don't mind normally, but with your current situation, you do mind. Aqua
Yeah,
thinks they win this game. You have a sense of it? Do you?
I know how the
Do you
game.
think
I know what the
Mahjong's
outcome is.
do you think Mahjong's smiling on them? I don't know what the outcome is.
All right, we got a strong Tanyao shape. I don't know if that's good, but we
Uh,
got it.
that's a really interesting insight. Aqua thinks that this
They're
player
gathering momentum.
Sisan are gathering the momentum, and everyone else is just being knifey knifey. That's true.
Possibly.
I'm
So
not
we're
playing the
each
game.
on
I'm
10
playing the
on a
players.
Tanyao. Okay, we cut that to be. All right, so now we're Tenpai. And we sumo. Okay, we sumo Tanyao Dora 1
It's just the start of the
for
momentum.
3,000. Now this
This is the
does
start.
pull us up to what, 30 even,
Yeah,
which is
and you
within a
are
good striking distance of everybody.
and you're third place now.
Yeah, and we're third place, so that's pretty good. This is also not bad at all for our deal, although the right hand side is not so awesome, but let's see where we go. All right. Dora in, all right.
I mean, but
Ace is
Dave doesn't
Debbie.
play armor, so it can't be Dave.
It's not me. 8 out.
I'm hoping they don't go too aggressive for a flush hand.
Another Dora. Oh, now this gets nerve-wracking.
Oh.
Now it's like there's 2 Dora in this hand. It's got enough value, but we have a reach. We haven't gotten ready yet. We'll throw the 5, which is safe. Okay.
Mm.
We can throw the 1. It's safe. But they win. No getting anywhere. And so that's last place off of first place.
Chirao doesn't think you'd pick one where your mate loses. He is American. Dave is American, and they like to be nice to each other over there.
That's funny. This is 2,000 points. So this pulls them last place up a little and first place down a little. So now,
Oh, you
like
really
in South 4,
it's
all
just a knife.
last,
Yeah.
we need exactly this hand.
Yes.
Exactly this hand.
You just have to win.
Because
You
we
just
can,
have
if
to
we
win
get
the game.
Hat's Chun
Yeah.
is enough to get 2,000 points and win the game.
Is
Because we're at
there any
3,000.
reach tick? Oh, there's no reach ticks on the
No, there's no
table.
reach on
So.
the table. So Hat's Chun is it. We got a Dora in the hand too.
Yeah.
This is exactly what we need to make it.
Golden goal.
Let's see what we get. We'll keep the 8-9. But they're pushing because everyone's got only 1 Han to go. Oh
Just
Jesus!
call everything. Yes.
Everyone is going absolute. We
Yes.
draw the Hots. Oh my God!
Yes, this is how you play mahjong.
We grab the Chun. We throw the South. And now we're in a little bit of a sticky spot because we don't have our pair.
No, yeah, but you could, even if they if the other person, the person on the left throws something, you can still call it and have the green dragon as your pair because you've got the door in there. You
That's
just
true.
need 2
Yeah,
hand.
yeah, yeah. If we get a 7, we're fine.
Korak is
Or
not a
if we've
fan of
got
that 4 bamboo cut.
oh, really? Let's go back to it. Hmm. I think the south would have been a better cut here. I think the 4 has a lot more potential to work with other tiles.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that happened later. The 4 pin, I think neither of those should have been cut that early because what you really need to do here is get another better block or another 8. Like, I'm actually fine cutting the 8-9 with a hand like this. I don't need it. Although
Mm.
people going apeshit has made it a little risky as soon as the
Well,
dealer.
you might need the 8. You don't know you're gonna get the chun at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, over the life cycle of this hand, if I get the
Yeah.
chun, I'm happy to drop the 8 because I don't need it anymore. I don't want to drop it, of course. So of course
Mm.
I'll throw the south here, and yeah, and then north. But keeping those other things is I think valuable. And
Oh,
now that
he
once this 8 comes out, that might be my gateway to throwing it. Although I don't know if I'd risk it at this point.
uh,
One,
yeah, I wouldn't.
we con the chun. Oh boy, look at us. Look at us adding
Why
another
not?
door
Of
to the
course.
mix. I would not have done that,
Oh,
frankly.
I would have done. I just want more
No.
draws at this point.
I don't know why we disassemble now on the 4 pin. I guess we're nervous about the player to our right.
But it doesn't matter. Anything happens and you could be in last.
Yeah, like that's why I wouldn't be conning, frankly.
No, I mean I can, but maybe oh,
I'm not sure. Are we now
oh,
bailing? Are we now getting out of
oh,
here?
oh, oh,
Are we dreaming of dragons?
oh. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Should get this out.
I think we were nervous about this white dragon. I think the idea was it might be dealing in. I don't know, man. I mean, this is I wouldn't have conned because anyone could be in last. If anyone can be in last, I can be in last. And if I'm the one who gets hit to be in last, I want that hit to be small. And I
This is
already
a
have the
god
Han I
read.
need to
Yeah,
win,
that's a
so
good thing.
I don't need it.
It
It
came
came
out
out once
though.
on the right, but not from
Yeah.
anyone else. Is it? Let's find out. They were over here.
I'd shove the Haku too.
This player wasn't ready, but they were over here. No one was in reach, but there were now extra Dora on the table. So like, I don't know. I don't like that push. I didn't like it.
I don't
And
think it was
this,
that big a push, to be honest, because you're just looking for one more tile. I mean, if you were further away,
well,
I'd
but we
say
made
don't.
this happen. We turned
Mm.
this into Tanya Sanchoku Dora 2 by the dealer, which means there's a continuance. But
Yeah,
now first place is like well out of our reach. There's really not much we can do now.
but
The nice
on
thing is
the
the
positive
player in
side,
first is now in hard last.
exactly. I was about to say, like the positive is that the last place is far, far away, and you want to avoid that, right?
We've been bumped up to second place.
Yeah.
And now we get this. We get all the Hakus because sure, right? Why not? Sure, sure. But yeah, we don't call the West. I'm surprised we don't just call the West and get this done. Um, we need a Haneman. Not sure how we get there, but we let the West. We take the second West.
Or a
Okay,
direct
fine.
hit, or a direct hit.
That's true.
Yeah, I'd insta pawn as well.
The dealer's just going nuts. We start calling. Everyone's going nuts.
It became one of those games, eh?
Yeah, everyone's just okay. Now we're tempai on 3 or 6 though, which will be 3 Han, right? It'll be 2 for half flush and 1 for Haku. No Dora. 3 and 30, 3 and 40. And now it looks like an Armel A1 game. I hope Armel A1 is not that crazy aggressive. Um, but that's 8, 12. Yeah, 3 and 40 is 52, which isn't enough to get us into first place no matter what. So unless we can switch to like, there's no way to get more value out of this, I don't think. Short of conning and flipping another Dora.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
There we go. We got it.
Problem is,
We
if you
take our
start
5200.
tipping towards aggression, then everyone has to tip towards aggression, right?
Yeah, everyone like matches that energy.
Yeah.
We get our first win of the game, I believe. No, it's our second win of the game. We won 2 hands this whole game, and all other hands we were just uninvolved in as the tiles flew by. And this gets us a plus 5k second, which turns into plus 10.5. Jeez, this was a heartbreaking game. There was so much going on where it was just like, why? Why is everyone going nuts? Why am I? I'm not even going nuts. Why is everyone like winning
No,
everything?
no.
And
I
I'm
mean,
just sitting here doing nothing.
yeah, winning. You were just
Yeah,
not
like
doing.
they weren't going crazy per se. Like it wasn't. I'll be fair. Like it wasn't an issue of like how are they playing this way. But damn, that's tough times.
Your sound's going a bit crazy.
Wait, what?
Maybe it's just on my problem. It's not for everyone else. You
All right,
faded
so
away
we
a bit.
are. Oh, I'll never fade away. It's better to burn out than to fade away. But that's what they say.
That's right.
That's what they say.
That definitely is the line that starts the Mahjong Manifesto.
Yeah, it's better. It being given that it is better to burn out than to fade away. Um, we hereby declare, etc., etc., etc. Anyway, so it's about 2 o'clock. I got to get moving to our Learn and Play meetup. Thank you all for joining us. I'm going to see what I can do about getting our schedule a little better because I feel like every other Saturday we just can't go because I have to be at
I mean,
Pro
you are
League.
doing Mahjong stuff. We
Yeah,
forgive
no,
you,
I'm
but
doing Pro League, but I don't like that our schedule is inconsistent. So we should figure out what we want to do about that. Maybe I can broadcast from Pro League in the future. I need to do something about that,
you've
but
promised
otherwise,
that for like
I
X
know I've
number of
promised that
months.
forever, but I need to see if I can actually
But
make it
also,
happen.
it might just not be possible if you have to, sub or something, Dave.
Everything, yeah, that's the problem. A lot of times I do have to sub, so then people have to deal
Right?
with
Well, let's
playing
have
a
a think
game with
about
me in
it.
it, and it's like
And
not.
if
No one likes
anyone
that.
wants to propose an agenda so that you can have Dave and Gemma, I don't know, not hot
Oh,
takes,
that's true. That's true.
like
If you have a feeling about
lukewarm
something,
takes.
yeah,
We'll
yeah, no, I
give you
think
our
I think
lukewarm takes.
that's actually important.
Yeah. It's
Um,
it's fun to discuss with you guys. Thank you for your input.
hmm. All right, so thank you. Oh my god, I'm yawning. I'm
Dave
stretching.
needs to
I
take
gotta.
a nap.
No, I need to get going. I need to make sure to be on time. But thank you all for joining us. We will
Thanks,
see
everyone.
you
See you
soon. And
later.
otherwise, have a great time.
Thanks,
Play more
Alka. Thanks,
mahjong, and
Granny.
we'll talk to you later. Have a great day, everyone.
Don't make empty calls. Dave will
Don't
get
make empty
mad.
calls. Don't make empty calls. I will penalize the crap out of that. Do not make empty calls.